Lori Vallow, the mother of two missing Rexburg children, back in Hawaii court this afternoon. Her defense team arguing to significantly lower the $5 million bond. That hearing just wrapped up. Our Misty Inglet watched it and joins us now to break down what happened. And Misty, it ended up with a bit of a surprise, didn't it?
Things that happened here. First, that this is the second time Lori and her defense team have asked to lower bail. In her initial court appearance last Friday, her lawyers asked for a $10,000 bond. The judge ended up denying that and left it at $5 million. Today, it was second verse, same as the first.
Today. I am so sorry I didn't get my 2 cents out last night. When we got back from all the birthday festivities, I was tapped. I know a lot of you were sending me emails and messages saying, what do you think? What do you think? So now I'm going to tell you what I think about what went down yesterday. My first reaction is to her lawyer, Mr. DaCosta. He was not convincing. His eyebrows about came off his head a few times. He kind of looked like a Muppet to me. And I don't mean to be ugly, but that's the first thing I thought. I thought of the Muppets and their weird eyebrows, and that's what I focused on the entire time, which was not a good choice, but I couldn't look away. I just couldn't. His arguments as to why her bail should be reduced included nothing of substance, in my opinion. I feel like because they brought up her previous defiance in other custody battles, which is what she's claiming this whole thing is about, which apparently her lawyer is going along with that defense, I feel like bringing up her previous defiance really made an impact.
Judge, nothing has changed about this case since we last addressed bail several days ago, other than that we learned of her past history of defying court orders regarding the custody of her children, not just in 2009 and 2011, but also what was telling in those reports is Joseph Ryan's statements that she has a history of disappearing when the child's custody is at issue. So that is
referring back to the 2011.
I'm talking about the 2009 and 2011 reports, in which she was civilly found in contempt and charged with judicial interference. So that certainly, in the state's view, is even more reason to, I mean, our position was always that she should be remanded without bail, but in the alternative, the $5 million was appropriate at the time and remains appropriate today.
I had looked at all that information prior, and I'm glad that it's brought into court and that the state was like, hey, she's done this before. This is a pattern. This is not new for her. So establishing that, I think, was a great idea. The first thing I noticed is Chad's absence. And to me, that speaks volumes. I feel like, in my opinion, he has no use for her now. She is useless. She is incarcerated. She can do nothing for his cause and his purpose now that he thinks he has on this planet. We saw her looking around a few times, and I'm curious, did he even communicate with her that he would be there or wouldn't be there? Because she did look around a few times, but his absence to me says he's done. He has no use for her. That's just the way I see it. I feel like he is ready to move on, find some, continue on his mission. And because she is incarcerated, he's done. Another thing I noticed, they called her Miss Vallow or Miss Daybell. Get the bitch's name right. What the hell is her legal name? That is a very good question, because had she in fact gone through the process of legally changing her name? Because some court documents call her Vallow, some call her Daybell. It's very confusing, and I'm curious to see if that's going to cause a problem in the future. I was not shocked that her bond was not reduced. There was no valid, good argument to the judge. And the judge's reaction when she finally came back and said, you know what? The bond is the bond. Deal with it.
All right, counsel, based on your respective pleadings with the court, including the supplemental memos that were received, your arguments in court this afternoon, the circumstances of this particular case, this court is confirming bail at $5 million. Just want to say to the record, at the prior hearing, the court confirmed bail at $5 million, and let me just state that the plain meaning of confirm means firmly establishes. So I am firmly establishing and confirming what I previously said at the hearing, last hearing. So bail is confirmed at $5 million.
I kind of laughed because the judge looked pissed off to me. The judge was like, this is what it means. When I say this, that means it's firmly established. It's kind of like, got it? Like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I felt like that's the judge's stance on the whole thing. Right after that took place, that's when we see Lori's lawyer stand up and say, well, okay, well, if we can't have that, then we're just going to go ahead and go back to Idaho, which we could have done that last Friday and skipped all this other bullshit, in my opinion, because eventually she's going back to Idaho. Why fight it?
Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
At this time, we would, Mr. Daybell has executed a waiver of extradition, having reviewed all of the paperwork submitted by the state. We're not disputing that she is a person charged by the state of Idaho, and she would like to expedite.
Side note, is expedite a damn word? Did you mean expedite, maybe?
Her return there so that she can defend herself against these false allegations.
Now, I don't see her waiving extradition as her suddenly cooperating. I see it as her following Chad and trying to be wherever he is. Now, if he doesn't take his ass back to Idaho, I don't know what the hell she's going to think or do. Like I said yesterday, I firmly believe that separation from Chad is the best thing that we can see from her. And that may be where we see her actually crack and start to cooperate, because he won't be in her ear. Just maybe we'll find out some information about the whereabouts of Tylee and JJ. Now, I don't see that information coming out very soon. I think she's going to continue to be defiant. Their argument in court that the court order from January to produce her children is saying, we're going to take the children from you and put them in foster care.
It's believed that that order was unlawful and should be quashed. And that order was also mischaracterized. That order didn't say simply produce your children in Idaho. It pretty much said, bring your children so that we, the government, can take the children and put them in foster care. And that's the reason why she's fighting that order.
And they were very focused on the government is going to do that. Based on Chad's writings, we know that it's very anti-government. The government's out to get him and his group and what he believes is going to happen coming up in July. Everybody else that's read that document do not see the government as taking her children. They see that as her producing her children and proving that they are alive and well somewhere. And she's not willing to do that. Now, as she answered questions from the judge about her extradition, she was very meek and mild and yes, no, yes, no.
First of all, are you Laurie Marie Daybell, also known or formerly known as Laurie Marie Vallow?
Yes.
And how old are you?
46,
And in what year were you born?
1973,
What's the last grade in school that you completed?
12.
And for the record, you can read and write English.
Correct.
Is your mind clear this afternoon?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs?
No.
Are you being treated for any mental illness or emotional disability?
No.
Now, the court has received from your attorney a document entitled Waiver of Extradition. Can you confirm that this is your signature on page 2 of the document?
Yes.
And you signed it, excuse me, this afternoon, February 26, 2020.
Yes.
Did you sign this in front of your attorney?
Yes.
And did you carefully go over both pages, and including the signature page on page 3, with your attorney before you signed it?
Yes.
And do you understand what you signed?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any questions for the court as to the effect of signing a waiver of extradition? And as the court asked you at the last hearing, you understand full well that you have the right to be represented by an attorney at all times.
Yes.
Now, I also asked you at the last hearing, I'm going to ask you again for the record, you understand that you and your attorney have the right to test the legality of the arrest?
Yes.
Yeah.
For a broad that has so much to say about her being this translated being and her being a god, she really looked weak in court yesterday. She looked broke down. To be honest with you, it kind of made my day. She needs to be knocked down a few notches, and I think this whole process is going to be really rough on her grandiose thought process. Now, do I see her cooperating as soon as she lands in Idaho? Absolutely not. She's going to continue to be defiant as long as she can hold on to that. Let's take a peek at her extradition order and see exactly what she signed and agreed to. It says, I, Lori Noreen Daybell, formerly known as Lori Noreen Vallow, am the person who is the subject of the above entitled matter, and I wish to waive my rights to formal extradition proceedings. I have been fully informed of the above entitled charges against me in the state of Idaho, and having fully been informed of my rights and privileges under the laws of the state of Hawaii, including my right to counsel and to the issuance of a warrant extradition, and any of my rights to obtain a writ of habeas corpus as provided for the Hawaii Revised Statute, Section 83210. I've been fully informed of the requirements for the issuance and service of the governor's warrants provided in the Hawaii Revised Statute Section 832-7 and 832-8 should the state of Hawaii seek my return to another state. I voluntarily, knowingly, and intelligently waive my rights to the issuance and service of the governor's warrant, a formal hearing, and all other procedures incidental to extradition proceedings if I am in another state. I consent to my return voluntarily and without hearing or other formality to Idaho to face the above referenced charges. This waiver is made without reference to my guilt or innocence and is not in any way prejudicial to my case and is not an admission of guilt. This waiver does not limit the authority or duty of the state of Idaho to obtain my return from another state by any legal means. And it was signed February 26, 2020, which was yesterday. I find it interesting that suddenly when she can't get her bail reduced, then suddenly she wants to cooperate and go back to Idaho. And like I said yesterday, my opinion is because Chad is leaving the island and she needs to be in his back pocket. One thing I noticed as the judge was asking her questions yesterday, when they said to her, are you being treated for any mental illness? The reaction of her lawyer was priceless to me.
Are you being treated for any mental illness or emotional disability?
No.
Now,
The look on his face to me said, yeah, she's not, but maybe she should be. And that's exactly what probably the entire world was thinking as we watched this hearing go down. And so I've thought about it all night. I've thought about it most of today, and I just wanted to get my opinions out to you guys. I feel like when she gets back to Idaho, I'm curious to see what sort of judge we have and how this judge is going to react. I really like the Hawaii judge and her demeanor in the courtroom. I'm curious to see how the new judge is going to be. I'm also curious to see Sean Bartholic in action in court, because I just do not see him being effective in any way, shape, or form. Now, is she going to expand her defense team? We'll have to see. But if she is separated from Chad, she has no money. In my opinion, she'll have no way to pay for a defense lawyer, and if she somehow ends up with a public defender, frankly, I'm going to laugh my ass off. That's just the way it is. Another thing that would be interesting to see is Chad going to show up and support her once she arrives in Idaho. That will definitely seal the deal as to whether or not he is still in support of his new bride, or if in fact he's cutting ties. And it's also possible that very soon Chad's going to need money for his own defense team. This is going to turn into a major shit show, even bigger than it already is, in my opinion. So that's pretty much how I feel about how the hearing went down. I feel like she didn't get her way, so she kind of threw in the towel, which is great. She should have done that Friday, and her ass could have already been back in Idaho. So right now, It's looking like it's going to take her a couple days to get back to Idaho, so she's just going to hang out in the Hawaii jail. Now, there's some other things that are being released that I want to talk about for just a second. Also seeing the gossip train take off about the new video that's been released of her 2004 pageant. In my opinion, it has no bearing on what's going on with this case right now. That was 16 years ago, and if I'm being honest, for just having a baby 1 year prior, she looks damn good in my opinion. So the fact that she could do that within a year, more power to her. I'll give her props for that. But I really don't think it has a bearing on what's going on right now. I think the only thing that's coming out is her vanity, which I think was apparent throughout everything. I did learn a long time ago that she had been on Wheel of Fortune, which good for her. That's great. I have a friend that's been on The Price is Right. Fabulous. Again, it has no bearing on this case. It's just part of the gossip train. And it's not really something I'm going to comment on besides right here. So, what did you guys think of yesterday's hearing? Were you shocked by what went down? I was kind of hoping that she would go ahead and waive extradition, but I really, in my heart of hearts, didn't think she would. So I was actually pretty shocked by that. Let's have a conversation down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. We will definitely talk about this some more tomorrow night, Friday, February 28th at 8 p.m. Central. We will be live on this channel, and I would love to see you there. Bring a friend. Let's talk about what's going on in the last and what you guys can expect from me and the content I'm working on for the next couple of weeks. So wherever this video finds you, I hope you're having a fabulous day. Make good choices. Be safe out there, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.